But the hours that you spend on the cross, sometimes it took hours or days for people to die. You move into an increasingly weakened state, and it becomes hard to breathe. You begin to slump down. And in order to take a breath, you try to stand up to take a breath. You take a breath and slide down again. And after so long, you're unable to even stand to take a breath. And your lungs begin to fill with fluid. And that's typically how one dies. You literally die by drowning in your own fluid. So if anyone wants to become my followers, think about that. Take up their cross. Now, why? Why would Jesus say something as horrible as this? Well, there are some biblical scholars who would contend that Jesus, in fact, did not say this. They would say that the human Jesus would not know what his fate is at the time. And there may be some truth to Jesus not knowing his fate at the time. And they would say, the biblical scholars would say that maybe Mark wrote this back into the story after the fact to make a point. But I say this. I think that Jesus knows exactly what he's talking about, at least in this way. That's because in the time of Jesus, crucifixion was a known, feared form of capital punishment. The Romans reserved it for the worst of the worst. Slaves who continually ran away over and over again. Reserved for pirates, for enemies of the state. Remember, that's what ultimately Jesus was convicted of, is treason. And Romans hate that. So they used crucifixion to make a brutal public point. Jesus may be saying is that, well then, if you're coming with me, you are liable to be numbered among the most dangerous, the most hated, and the most feared segments of the population. And this will happen all because you are proclaiming a new way of God, a new way of honoring and following God. So take up your cross and let's get going. At the time that the Gospel of Mark was written, the Gospel, of course, we read today, that first great persecutions of Christians had already happened. It happened in the year 64. The Emperor Nero blamed this mysterious group that was called Christians that nobody really knew much about. But he blamed them on the fire that devastated much of Rome that year. And then Mark writes his Gospel only 30 years after the death and resurrection of Jesus. So that by then, large numbers of Christians had in fact been crucified or died other death. And so the words of Jesus then are recent. And they carry power, and they carry poignancy to the church as it exists. So the cross is not just the experience of Jesus, but it has been the real lived experience of those in the community already. The cross, with its pain and humiliation, has been the experience of those people. In other words, the cross with its final death, that's what it means to be a follower of Jesus at that time. You realize that each and every one of the apostles, the 12 apostles, with the exception of young John, each of the apostles met a violent death. In fact, St. Peter, our namesake, was also crucified, but he insisted that he be crucified head down so that his death would be in no imitation of the Lord whom he followed. And the author of the Gospel of Mark likely knew others who had already died in that same manner. So when Mark says that Jesus says, take up your cross, those words are stunningly real. So then, in the first part of Lent, and like Mark says, like the earliest Christians, let's not forget that stark brutality of the cross. Remember, too, that when we follow Jesus, it doesn't always make our life any easier. Because I contend that following Jesus will cost you your life, even now. By that I mean, is that being a follower of Jesus takes every ounce of your courage. It takes the entirety of your life. Every waking, breathing, thinking moment of your life. That's the cost that we must pay. God-centered life as Jesus does, the promise is this. It's the promise that it will change you. And it will change you from the inside out. You've heard the Old Testament story, the story of Abram and Sarai, the promise for them to live a God-centered life, the covenant, as we called it. It changed them so much that from that point on, they were to be a new people, new person. And they were called by new names. Not Abram and Sarah, but Abraham and Sarah. Being a follower of Jesus will change you. And the world that we face, as people of faith and followers of Jesus, it has changed over the span of generations. In this day, no longer can we, it is a cultural norm and experience that the culture out there is going to be friendly to Christians in this day, as it was for our faith a generation or so ago. Of course, the world has changed much since the days of the first disciples. Back then it was dangerous or even deadly to be a follower of Jesus. When Christianity became the norm for the civilized world, well, then it was somewhat an advantage and even safe to be a Christian. There are those historians, though, who say that was the worst thing that ever happened to the Christian faith because we forgot the power and the intensity of the cross. To take up the cross is to be intentional. In other words, take up our cross, be intentional, do it with a purpose. Like I said, every waking, breathing, thinking moment of your life. Walking the way of Jesus is sometimes a little hard. Don't look for ways to be blessed, and only comforted by God. Look for ways that you can be a blessing in the name of Jesus for the sake of God. To take up your cross is to live a God-centered life, no matter where that may lead you. Take up your cross. Jesus is saying, this is the way. The first Christians would say, this is the way. Every generation of the church must learn or relearn that this is the way. The way of Jesus. To walk hand in hand with God and with each other, no matter where that may lead us. See, this life of radical devotion to God, that's the way that Jesus lived. And for him, it led to the cross and to crucifixion. Every person's cross is different. And we will probably never know the cross that others must bear. But what we do know is this, is that God is with us. God is with us, even in difficulty and even in sorrow. So that to take up our cross is to know the depth and the strength of God's love for us. To take up your cross is to live a God-centered life, no matter what. In God's name. Amen. Stand as you're able as we proclaim our faith together.